Hello everyone and welcome to the channel. My name's Pastor Siri. I'm a Lutheran pastor but a spiritual seeker, and today we are going to talk about power and really the importance of not giving away your power. So take a listen. I think this is a really important topic because as Christians, we get a lot of really interesting mixed messages about power. Most of what we understand about power comes from a very immature and unhealthy, unevolved understanding of power, which is usually power over other people. And we've seen this happen throughout all of history. It is often what Jesus was talking about when he was criticizing the poor behavior of people, is there was this ladder of who had access and privilege and power and worth in the world. And Jesus completely said that was false. It was completely made up. Because ultimately what we all are is a connected web of being. And for us to all live and thrive together, we all need to be fully activated. And that means we need to be empowered. But yet we often talk about power as if it's such a bad negative thing and we shouldn't have it. We shouldn't seek to have any power within ourselves, any self-confidence. But what happens is then we export it to someone else who gladly harvests it. I was thinking about this today and the word power vampire came to my mind. There have always been power vampires in this world. Those who can only find or think that they can only find power by taking it from other people. That's how they get power. That's how dictators and tyrants and really awful bosses and just there's so many different kinds of people out there and systems that have demanded that you hand over your power and your will and your thought and your voice and your truth to them, and that is how they gain power. But as I said, that's a very immature and a very unhealthy form of power. And there is a healthy form of power. So a healthy form of power is really first acknowledging that you are worth every bit as much as anybody else, that everybody is equally worth something beautiful, and we come here different and distinct, and we come here to do something. We have a purpose. We're here to learn. We're here to grow. We're here to share our gifts. You may have heard many, many times that the world doesn't benefit from a bunch of people cowering and hiding their light. Jesus even says you don't take a light and hide it. You put it on top of a hill so it shines. That's the purpose of light. And if we all have a light within us, then when we're shining brightly in a healthy way, it actually is catchy. Other people start to be inspired too, and it shines their light. It's empowering, meaning the power in me when it's healthy and beautiful and pure actually is catchy for other people, and they get more power. And all together, we become more powerful as a group, as a community, as a whole world. And it's collaborative and it's sharing. So one of the ways in which we give away our power is, well, as young people, we often have to some degree, listen to other people in the world who are hopefully guiding us in the right direction. But as we get older, it's really important for us to start questioning the messages, questioning the thoughts, questioning some of the things that we received when we were younger. Because no matter what great family and system you were involved in growing up, at some point, somewhere you probably exported some of your power. And I'm going to talk about power in 7 ways. Power comes from first, your sense of, I deserve to be here. I deserve and belong to be here, and I deserve safety, and I deserve to have food and clothing and shelter. Everybody does. These are for everybody. The next thing about power is I have the right to my own feelings, and I have the right to my own boundaries, as do you. We get to create boundaries of what we think is acceptable and what is not acceptable. And that is for everybody. And the next is our own courage and willpower to get things done. When you see a young child who's so proud that they accomplished something, we're like, yay, good job, you should be proud. And they should be. We all should be. We all should have things that we have cultivated and worked hard and skills that we have honed over time, that when we do them, we feel proud. It doesn't matter if we're the best at them. That doesn't matter. What matters is if they feel good and they are part of who we are and what we're meant to do, then we use our power to do those good things. And then there's our heart. This may seem strange, but power, I think, deeply needs to be connected to the heart for it to be mature. Because the compassion and the forgiveness and the grace and mercy we give ourselves and we give other people will always check to make sure we don't fall into that egoic, unhealthy power that wants power over other people. And then, of course, your voice. You should always be able to speak your voice, to speak your thoughts, to speak your truth, not to be mean, not to be cruel, not to belittle, because that's very dominating energy, but to be able to share who you are and what you feel deep inside. That's part of owning your own power. And then, of course, your intellect. You have a right to ask questions. You have a right to your own thoughts. You have a right to believe what you want to believe. And anyone that's telling you how to speak, how to believe, how to think, how to behave, that person is using power over. And this is where it gets a little scary. Because sometimes things that have masqueraded as very good and holy have sought to take power over you. And we have exported our power because we thought we were giving it away to good things. Sometimes it's something like a friend or a partner where we end up in a very different place, like the frogs in the boiling water, where they don't really notice that things have changed over time. But you always, if you get to that point where you're not allowed to speak, you're not allowed to feel, you're not allowed to do, you're not allowed to think, that is a huge red flag that you have given your power away. But the same can be true to groups of people, to communities, to churches, where a lot of times if you find yourself in a place where, once again, you're not allowed to ask questions, you're not allowed to think your own thoughts, you have to conform, you have to behave, be, and think in this small thing. What's so insidious about that kind of power grabbing, power vampirism, is that we always think we're giving up our power for a good and beautiful reason. People may even use the awful word surrender in a spiritual and biblical and religious way. So let me just briefly talk about surrender. Surrender and submission has always been like a really negative word for me growing up, probably because I carry this deep genetic memory, as do many women, of being forced, of being close your mouth, close your brain, being used and not being allowed to be your own person. Now that, again, is power over. That is not good. That is not at all what we're talking about here. So it's taken me a long time to understand how I can be empowered within myself and still surrender to something higher. Because the higher, the good, with a capital G, does not want me to not be me. It does not want me to be weak. It does not want me to be powerless. It does not want me reliant on anyone or anything. Rather, I believe that God, the good, wants me to be fully alive. And surrender is for me to continually practice over and over again to loosen the grips my ego has on trying to control everything, on trying to make sure that I'm doing everything my way, to make sure I've got it just right. And so surrender is saying, I trust that maybe there's something better for me out there. I trust that you know what might be out there. You might know what would be next. And it's actually aligning your deep, holy power with that of God's. It's actually connecting. And in that happening, it's going to be better for you because you will be empowered. God is the primary empowering because God gave all power and life in the first place. And so why, if God gave you life, would God then want you to crawl around like a worm in the dirt? Submission and surrender is not a horrible existence. There are ego deaths that may come from it. There are moments in which our ego realizes that the way it's done things is not going to work in the future, and that hurts. That can be painful for us because we're still so aligned with our ego. But ultimately, as we're able to release that, as we're able to let go, let go, let go, let go, we become more and more ourself. As I said, surrendering to God is actually helping to empower who you are as it empowers everybody. So I do want to say that right now, I bring this up because we're seeing a lot of power vampirism in the culture. We're seeing a lot of public figures who are demanding our loyalty and often using what feels like good, beautiful, and holy language of patriotism, language of Christianity, language of loyalty to a certain group or other. And it's very insidious and very creepy because ultimately, anything that is deeply true and real and benevolent allows you to question it. It allows you to have your own power and your own thoughts. And anything that's trying to control and shut that down, it's not loving, it's not good. So whether it is a person on TV speaking, a guru, a book, a church, a family member, if it's truly someone who's good and loving, they're going to allow you to be yourself. They're going to allow you to have your own power, and you're going to feed off each other's wonderful aliveness and celebration and excitement, never in a dampening down and a control. And it also is insidious to me that oftentimes people will quote the Bible. They will quote the Bible as a way to control other people and to make them believe they have to think and act and behave in a certain way in order to be acceptable to God. So go back and watch my first video of how there's nothing you have to believe in order to be loved and worthy by God. I hope this is helpful for you, and I really, really encourage you as an adult to do an investigation of all of the places in your life where you feel as if you may have given away your power. And it's a universal thing, so you don't have to feel bad about it. Everybody's done that. Everybody at some point in their life has given away their power. I've done it in relationships. I've done it in many different scenarios. But just think about that. Think about those 7 parts of you. Do I feel safe, and do I feel like I have a right to be here? Do I have a right to my own emotions and my own boundaries? Do I have a right to do what I want to do and to have gifts that I'm sharing with the world and to use my courage and will to accomplish the things that are important to me? Am I doing this from compassion, and am I free to share my love and my heart and my forgiveness? Can I speak what is true about myself? Can I speak and share what is good and loving and true? And do I have a right to my own thoughts? Can I read books that are banned? Can I educate myself? Can I ask questions? And if the answer to any of those is no, then that's just more information for you to figure out where you might have given away your power and to start investigating how you can reclaim that again. So I hope this is helpful for you, because my goal is ultimately to share messages that are healing and freeing for you and for everybody. If this message was helpful for you, please like, please subscribe, and please share with someone who you think might be able to appreciate this message as well. All right, until next time, bye-bye.